All right, so part two of the user data upload. So now we want the user data or the user to be able to upload his data. And as I've shown you before, we want like some kind of input here that will then update this drop-down menu, and then allow the user to choose his own data. Good. So Shiny comes with some upload inputs already. So it's called file inputs, and we're just going to put it above where you select your data. Input ID is just upload. Yeah, I think so. Upload label. We'll say upload your data. Great. That's what the user will see. And then we have some more arguments. So what I'm interested in is this one called accept. Right now it's default by null, but I actually think as of right now we can only accept one type of data, and that is PSV data, or at least that's the data that I have. So I've done so far. So I'm just going to be using that for now. These are things that we can change later, but let's see. So what I want to do as well is let the user or have the user accept his choice. So when he uploads, it won't just start running right away. He has to say, let's run this. So what I'm going to use here is an action button. So the input ID here will be just call it start upload. So the user has to press this button before the upload will start. So he'll just see this thing upload. Good, and I think that's right. So let's just see how this looks. Hey, and we see here we have an upload button. We have upload your data, and the rest of our inputs are still here. So now I can press here, and I can go, oh, right, where's my data? Well, my data isn't anywhere here. Let's go to, oops, no, there we go. Data, well, I could upload this data again, but we're not going to be doing that. So we need some data, right? So that we can upload. So I quickly just made some user data that we're going to be uploading. Sorry. So here I'll just run this and stop running that. So these are also built-in data sets from that come with R. The faithful volcano dataset or some geyser dataset and the orange dataset. And I'm gonna, I need to, just for demonstration purposes, I'll just have another folder here called user data. So like in the real world, we wouldn't have this folder here, but now we're gonna enter this folder, upload the data that's in here, which would be the user data, and then it will somehow try to get it in here, which is the data that the app will be seeing. Great, so I'll just use this one to write it over there. Let's see, user data. Yep, they're both there. Great. So let's see. Well, we don't have any functionality for our uploads yet. So now we're going to be using a new type of reactive, or it's actually not a reactive. It just is a listening event. So if you know anything about JavaScript, you have event listeners. This is pretty much just the event listener in Shiny. So we say observe event, and then what do we want to observe? Well, we wanted to observe when the user pressed the upload button, right? So that's this one, start upload input. All right, so we'll say start upload. When this fires, run the code that's in these curly brackets. That's what this, that's what this whole function means actually. And there's no return value. It just does what's in here. So if you want something to change outside of this, you have to like say, actually it's all contained in here. So you have to have some reactive values outside here called first, and then change them in here. We're not going to be doing that now. We might come to it at some point, but as of now, we're just going to use observe event to do some functionality as the user presses upload. All right, so first of all, we want the data to be there, right? So we'd say input upload. We want, and I think when you have a file, when you have the file input, it has different. It's a list of data actually. It's not just your data; it's the path to your data, right? So it has something called a data path. So that's what we want. We want to request the data path before we do anything. And if it's not there, we don't do anything. That's what this means. All right. So what do we want to do then? Well, we want to write whatever the data to our data folder, right? So we'll say write table, and we say what do we want to write? Okay, this is really stupid, but we'll say read table. For these demonstration purposes, we're going to be doing this. So first we read it and then we write it. It's not something I would recommend doing if this were your job, but for our demonstration purposes, whatever, we're going to do it. So we're reading the data. So read the data that's here. This is a large path to some temporary file that contains the data that the user puts in. And we want it to be data. Ooh, now we have a problem here. What will our name be? Input. Oh, yeah, of course, we have this. Oh, no problem, no problem. So where do we want data, and then we want input, upload. And I think, I think it's name. So I think the the file input over here comes with comes with data path, but it also comes with a name. I think it's just name. We would certainly hope so. So we write the table to our data set. Great. So this should move our data or copy our data to the data folder that we want the user data to be stored at. But we're not done yet, because even though we've changed this, or we've like hypothetically added a new file to this folder, it isn't reactive. I mean, the app doesn't know there's a new one here. We have to tell it that there's a new folder here. So what we'll do is, well, one problem we have is that our data selection, well, it's up here, it's in the UI part, and that means it's pretty hard to change. However, we do have a solution for this, and that is to use the update select input. So some of the inputs in our Shiny have this function that just prefixes an update and then the name of it. So this means we can point it to some input that we already called. So it was called data select. And then we pretty much just say, okay, what is it now? So the label, it will be the same, select a data set. But now what we want to do is the choices. They will be list the files. So we're gonna pretty much just update the choices in the drop-down menu where you selected your data. So where was it? It was the path is .data. Yeah, that's it. So another way we could have done this is just having this data to being reactive. So we, instead of calling it outside of the app, we made a the data list here, and this would be a reactive. But I don't know if it would actually update. Yeah, it would, because then we would just say, oh no, I'm not sure. Look, that's a side note. Maybe we'll try to do something later. As of now, I think this is gonna work. We're just gonna list the file. We're just gonna manually update the input, and that input is the data select input up here, and say, right, just update your what kind of data they can choose. And then we should, the read table and everything should still work, because they'll just be receiving the data selection, which we just updated. So I think this is good enough. Let's see if this works. Okay, I'll save. I'll run the app. I'll just move these. Okay, so let's see if we can. Oops, that's not where I want to be. All right, I want to upload faithful. Upload. Oh no, we had a total breakage of our app. Very bad. Let's see what's wrong. Error in file, invalid open argument. Oh god, what does this mean? Well, so it's time for some debugging. Error in... All right, welcome back. I made a dumb error and I paid for it, so I had to wait. Had to use time to find it. So of course, maybe some of you were screaming at me for not seeing this, but it went straight through my head. So right here, I'm trying to paste these two strings together, but I don't even have a paste function or anything. So what I needed was paste this, right? Boom. All right, let's see if this works now. Well, it's here. Ah, hey, would you look at this? It's right here. So let's upload the other data. Orange. Upload. Whoop, it updated this. Orange data is here. It's there. Okay then. And if you look at data, we have orange and we have faithful. All right, that's good. So now the user can upload his data. Isn't that fantastic? And the rest of the functionality is working. So I think that's good enough to start with. So in the next one, well, I have to think about what we're going to be doing in the next one. We might want the user to be able to change some data, or we might want the user to be able to like have multiple plots or something. There's a lot of things we can do. We'll find out. You'll see on the title in the next one, at least. Thank you for this time. See you.